These lovely dogs would be sexually abused by this man in 10 years. That man is none other than Adam Britton, once hailed as a world-renowned crocodile expert and a dedicated conservationist. But behind his polished public image lay a horrifying secret. Britton committed some of the most shocking acts of animal cruelty ever recorded. His crimes, which involved the torture and killing of numerous dogs, not only destroyed his reputation, but also left those who once admired him in disbelief. Today's case is one of the darkest we've ever covered, and it's about one of Australia's cruelest psychopaths, Adam Britton. Hello and welcome back. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe and click the notification bell to stay updated. Before we dive in, a major trigger warning. This case involves extreme animal abuse and mentions of CSA. We'll do my best to avoid overly graphic details, but some descriptions are necessary to fully grasp the extent of his crimes.
Is that the alligator is going to use all of its bite force to clamp down on the bear, and these teeth are going to puncture the skin and even go into the bone. And then what it's going to use is these powerful muscles on the back of its neck and the weight.
Adam Robert Corden Britton was born in 1971 in Wakefield, West Yorkshire, in the UK. He attended Queen Elizabeth Grammar School in Wakefield, where he initially considered studying veterinary science, but eventually shifted his focus to zoology. In one of his blog posts, Britton credited 3 people for inspiring his career: his mother, his biology teacher, and Sir David Attenborough. After finishing school, Britton earned his undergraduate degree from the University of Leeds in 1992, followed by a PhD in zoology from the University of Bristol in 1996. His doctoral research focused on the hunting methods of bats. But Britton's real passion was crocodiles. He'd been fascinated by them since childhood and dreamed of improving the often tense relationship between humans and these ancient predators. In 1996, at 25 years old, Britton moved to Australia's Northern Territory, home to the world's largest population of saltwater crocodiles. It was there that he decided to build his life and career. He quickly landed a job as a senior researcher at Crocodilus Park, a small zoo and research facility. His dedication paid off, and he became a leading global expert on crocodiles. He also worked as a research associate at Charles Darwin University. It was during this time that Britton met his wife, Erin, a biologist and wildlife ranger. The two shared similar professional interests and eventually married. They lived on a secluded 2.5-acre estate in McMinn's Lagoon. The property's remote location would later play a key role in the horrific crimes Britton committed. In 2006, Britton left Crocodilus Park, and together with Erin, co-founded a research and consulting business called Big Gecko. The couple ran the company together, and on the surface, Britton's life seemed like a success story, a respected scientist living his dream. But beneath that polished exterior lay a dark and twisted reality. By this point, Britton had established himself as a leading expert on crocodile behavior. His massive property housed up to 8 saltwater crocodiles at one time. It became a hotspot for TV and film crews, offering rare footage of crocodiles in captivity, something almost impossible to capture in the wild. His company worked with major media giants like the BBC, National Geographic, and Discovery Channel, even training handlers and assisting crews during filming. Britton himself appeared in multiple documentaries, including Animal Face-Off, and in 2015, he helped Prince Harry rescue a trapped crocodile in Australia. Britton's reputation wasn't just local, it went global. In 2011, he helped measure Lolong, the world's longest captive crocodile, in the Philippines. In 2016, he dived with crocs for 60 minutes in Botswana. He even hosted his idol, Sir David Attenborough, on his property during the filming of Life in Cold Blood. To get groundbreaking footage of crocodiles mating, Britton built a custom enclosure for his pet crocodile, Smog. According to Britton, if you've ever seen an underwater shot of a saltwater croc, there's a good chance it's Smog. Britton seemed passionate about bridging the gap between humans and crocodiles, but he also loved the spotlight. Self-promotion was part of his game. His social media was full of crocodile shots, his dogs, and constant updates on his work. He was an egotist and a narcissist by some accounts. At first, people saw him as quiet and shy, but behind the scenes, his colleagues thought he was arrogant and antisocial. One co-worker at Crocodile Park said he was up himself. Despite not being well-liked, people respected his expertise. Still, cracks were showing. The founder of Crocodile Park accused Britton of taking credit for the team's work just to boost his media profile. Another colleague claimed Britton never contributed to their Crocbite database, aside from paying for the domain, but took full credit. Britton's behavior raised eyebrows, but many overlooked it because he was good at what he did. But no one could have imagined the darker secrets that would later come to light. A few people noticed fleeting signs of Adam Britton's lack of empathy, but nothing that suggested cruelty or violence. He did an excellent job of fooling everyone, his colleagues, TV audiences, and the public, into believing he was a protector of animals. But in his twisted mind, animals were nothing more than toys. Evidence from online conversations showed that Britton's disturbing obsession with animals started early. He admitted to having inappropriate thoughts about animals as young as 6 and began abusing a horse when he was just 13. By 2014, his troubling behavior extended to dogs. Britton confessed that he had tried to suppress these urges for a while, but eventually gave in and stopped trying to control himself, saying, "In the last few years, I let it out again. And now I can't stop. I don't want to." Smiley faces. He even seemed to enjoy the notoriety that came with his hidden actions. Britton owned 2 Swiss shepherds, Ursa and Bolt. He even created an Instagram page for them, portraying himself as a loving dog owner. On Telegram he said, "My own dogs are family. I have limits. I only badly mistreat other dogs. I have no emotional bond to them. They are toys, pure and simple. And there are plenty more where they came from." But Ursa and Bolt weren't spared from his cruelty. He abused them for nearly 10 years before targeting dogs from other owners. Britton's entire scheme was built on manipulation. He scoured websites like Gumtree, tricking owners into giving him their beloved pets. He made himself sound like a caring, lonely man offering a perfect home. What happened next was horrifying. Britton had a shipping container on his property. He called it his torture room, where he physically and sexually abused these dogs. When the dog owners asked for updates, he made up some tall tales, even sent photos claiming the dogs were doing great. In September 2021, Britton acquired Kiki from a woman who was too ill to care for her dog. He said, "I live on a 5-acre block in Humpty Doo. There's no other dogs too, so she'll get the best of both worlds. I haven't had a dog since my last girl died a few months ago, but I miss her and I need another companion. I can help you out by offering her a great home." But it was another lie. Britton took Kiki to the shipping container along with 2 other dogs. Within 1 week, he tortured and killed them, recording everything. In the 18 months leading up to his arrest, Britton tortured at least 42 dogs and killed 39 of them. He filmed everything, each act more horrific than the last, and shared the footage online. Most of the abuse happened on his property, or in isolated areas around Darwin's suburbs. The titles of his videos alone reveal the brutality. Ballboy beating, where he beat 2 male dogs in their balls before killing them. Blade rape, where he sexually abused a dog with a razor. Penis rip, where he cut a dog's genitals. Each video was worse than the one before. According to a Reddit user, Adam Britton possessed disturbing photos of roasted dog genitals, a basket filled with dog bodies. One of the most horrifying things he did was create a meme of himself, inserting his genitals into a dead dog's head, captioning it with a joke. When your dog has something stuck in its mouth and you're trying to get it out. This wasn't just cruelty, it was something he enjoyed. He reveled in it, turning his depravity into jokes and seeking attention through shock and horror. Britton had 2 Telegram accounts. One was called Monster, used to chat with like-minded individuals, where he openly discussed his kill count and gave advice on how to torture animals and deceive pet owners. His second account, Cerberus, was used to upload recordings of his abuse. His choice of the name Cerberus, the mythological 3-headed dog guarding the underworld, was oddly symbolic. It hinted at his dual nature, the good, public Britton, and the monstrous hidden one. Despite craving attention, Britton worked hard to keep his identity hidden. He edited out anything that could reveal who or where he was. He was fully aware of what he was doing and took extreme steps to avoid being caught. Psychologists would likely describe him as having severe antisocial personality traits, possibly even psychopathy. His behavior aligns with the McDonald triad, a set of early signs for violent and psychopathic tendencies. Given the depth of his sadism, it's doubtful he was ever capable of rehabilitation. Even if someone had intervened when he was just 13 or 14, his drive for cruelty seemed unstoppable. Adam Britton's downfall came from one video, a horrific footage that ultimately exposed him. Despite his efforts to cover his tracks, one overlooked detail in the video revealed his identity and exposed him for the true monster he was. The video, titled "One Bitch and 9 Pups," was filmed in November 2021 and consisted of 10 separate clips stitched into a 15-minute compilation. It featured a 10-month-old pit bull mix and her 9 puppies, each just 2 to 3 weeks old. In the clips, Britton systematically killed the puppies using various tools, a drill, kitchen knife, handsaw, hammer, while recording the abuse in a forest. Throughout the video, Britton was nude and mostly kept his face hidden. According to those who have described the video online, Britton carried each puppy to a log in the center of the frame and killed them one by one in unimaginably cruel ways. He inflicted extreme torture on each pup, gaining sexual gratification from the violence. Pup after pup was brutalized. Descriptions of the abuse are difficult to comprehend. He drilled into skulls, sawed bodies in half, stomped on them, and performed sexual abuse. The 9th puppy was dismembered, its limbs broken by hand before Britton decapitated it. The mother dog was forced to watch the entire ordeal, helpless. Then Britton tied her up, beat her, and forced her to eat the remains of her own puppies. Some parts of the video suggest the torture lasted far longer than what was shown. It's terrifying to imagine how much worse the reality might have been. What's even more disturbing is that 1B and 9 Pups was just one of many videos Britton made. He kept pushing boundaries, seeking attention, and becoming more sadistic with each act, trying to outdo himself. The most chilling part? People like Britton rarely stop at animals. Vulnerable beings, whether animals or eventually children, are the perfect targets for those obsessed with domination and control. What he could have done next is too horrifying to think about. Thankfully, he was caught before it went that far. Toward the end of 2021, rumors spread about a new video, far more disturbing than anything people had seen before. The video was leaked from Britton's private Telegram chat, where a user uploaded it to a website. The uploader claimed they wanted to raise awareness and catch the person responsible. This video was so disturbing that it shocked even the regular viewers of these communities, sparking a hunt to find the person behind it. In March 2022, a breakthrough came. An online user noticed something crucial in the background of the video. An orange dog leash with the words, "Great pets start with you," a slogan used by Darwin Council. This clue was sent to the Northern Territory Animal Welfare Branch and passed to the police, triggering a covert operation involving both Northern Territory Police and the Australian Federal Police's Anti-Child Exploitation Team. In April 2022, police executed a search warrant at Britton's home. What they found was beyond horrifying. Severed dog limbs in a freezer, a decomposing puppy's head in a pond, and a dog's severed head on a neighboring property. Among the 44 items seized were computers, cameras, mobile phones, external hard drives, sex toys, and tools used for abuse. Investigators also found 50 files of child abuse material on his laptop, including footage of a toddler being forced into unspeakable acts. When asked by another Telegram user if he wanted to see this kind of material, Britton didn't refuse. He said, "Oh, curious to see that one." This discovery confirmed the dangers of the dark community Britton was part of and revealed just how far he was willing to go for attention and shock value. His behavior was escalating fast, and it seemed inevitable that his crimes would soon involve children, not for personal attraction, but as a way to combine his sadistic desires with his need to push boundaries and gain infamy. In April 2023, Britton was charged with 63 offenses, including bestiality, animal cruelty, and possession of child abuse material. His trial began at the Northern Territory Supreme Court, where prosecutor Marty Ost presented overwhelming evidence. The court heard graphic descriptions of Britton's deliberate and planned cruelty, including his use of multiple cameras and tripods to record the abuse while carefully concealing his identity. The evidence showed Britton had a long history of sadistic behavior, dating back at least to 2014. Over 18 months between 2020 and 2022, he intentionally tortured and killed at least 39 animals. The prosecutor warned that Britton would continue his crimes if released, given the extent of his planning and enjoyment in these acts. In August, Britton's defense team presented arguments to reduce his sentence. Legally, even in cases as horrific as this, the accused must have a defense. His lawyer, who requested to remain anonymous out of fear for her safety, cited Britton's mental health and personal history as mitigating factors. The defense argued that Britton's actions were influenced by a lifelong struggle with paraphilia, a condition involving recurring, intense sexual interests in atypical behaviors or objects. They claimed that societal stigma had caused Britton shame and fear, preventing him from seeking help earlier. Britton even wiped away tears in court, portraying himself as a man burdened by his condition. His lawyer added that Britton had undergone 30 hours of therapy in prison, which was a sign of remorse and potential for rehabilitation. But this isn't the case of someone who felt trapped and sought a way out. Britton's choices were intentional, calculated, and cruel. Having a disorder doesn't absolve responsibility. People can't control what they're attracted to, but they can control their actions and manage those urges appropriately. Britton chose not to. He manipulated others, trained them to follow his lead, and showed no genuine remorse. For that, there's no excuse. The prosecution made it clear that Britton was fully capable of rational decision-making and had chosen to act on his desires, often encouraged by others in his twisted Telegram community. The prosecutor described his offenses as almost beyond description in terms of significant depravity. The judge agreed and concluded that Britton's mental condition did not reduce his moral responsibility. In September 2023, Britton pleaded guilty to 56 charges of bestiality and animal cruelty, as well as 4 counts of possessing and distributing child abuse material. His guilty plea spared the court from a full trial, but the judge still reviewed the evidence to determine an appropriate sentence. The judge issued a warning to the courtroom, noting that the details were so horrifying they could cause nervous shock. Some people left in tears as the crimes were described, while others choked up or cursed Britton under their breath. Throughout it all, Britton pretended to show remorse and wiping away fake tears. But his sorrow wasn't for his victims. It was for himself. He wasn't mourning his crimes. He was mourning the loss of his status and freedom. At one point, his lawyer presented a letter from Britton himself. He wrote, "I take full responsibility for the demeaning crimes that I perpetrated on dogs. I deeply regret the pain and trauma that I caused to innocent animals, and consequently to my family, friends, and members of the community I attended. I let you all down, and I'm truly sorry. I now acknowledge that I've been fighting a rare paraphilia disorder for much of my life, and that shame and fear prevented me from seeking the proper help I needed. No amount of words can convey how sorry and ashamed I am, nor undo what I did. But I am determined to prove that I am better than this, that I will seek long-term treatment, and that I will find a path toward redemption." But the judge wasn't buying it. He condemned Britton's actions as completely beyond ordinary human understanding and comprehension. He emphasized that Britton was a highly educated man who made a deliberate, informed choice to commit these atrocities. His crimes weren't the result of impaired judgment. They were driven by pure evil. Each act of torture was prolonged, meticulously planned, and turned into a production that Britton proudly shared. The judge noted that if Britton hadn't been caught, he would have continued without hesitation. People like him don't stop on their own. They have to be stopped. On August 8, 2024, Britton, then 53, was sentenced to 10 years and 5 months in prison, with a non-parole period of 6 years. This means he could be eligible for release as early as September 2028. In just 3 years, he could be back on the streets. While he was banned from owning animals for life, the punishment feels woefully inadequate. Britton's crimes were a deliberate series of acts involving extreme cruelty. He had no limits, and if left unchecked, his actions could have escalated to involve children.
We're at home at the moment, and we've got to feed the crocodiles. We've got a freshie here called Nal, and he really likes chicken legs. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this camera to Erin, which is here. Say hi, Erin.
Hi, everybody.
Okay.
A lot of people have asked, where was his wife, Erin? How could she not have known? Erin and Adam were married for 15 years, but she insists she had no idea what was happening. Erin worked as a ranger and was often away for months on international expeditions. By the time Britton's behavior spiraled, their relationship had become more like a business partnership. They lived like housemates, sleeping in separate bedrooms, while Britton went out of his way to hide his activities. Investigators confirmed his crimes worsened when Erin wasn't home. After Britton's arrest, Erin disappeared from the public eye. But recently, she broke her silence in an emotional interview with Australia's 60 Minutes, expressing shock and horror at what her husband had done. She was devastated, especially when she learned the pets they shared were also victims of his abuse. Erin recalled how Britton had grown increasingly withdrawn, spending long hours on his computer. But since they were no longer romantically involved, she had no reason to suspect anything. Even after the investigation revealed frozen dog remains and evidence that Britton fed dogs to his crocodiles, Erin remained adamant that she had no clue. We've said before, and we'll say it again, Adam Britton cannot be rehabilitated. While in prison, he wrote disturbing letters to Erin, asking her to send him books about dogs. It confirmed her worst fears. Britton had no remorse and was still clinging to his twisted fantasies. He had no intention of getting better. Rehabilitation was never on his mind. Since his conviction, Erin has left the marriage and moved on with her life. Rather than hide, she has become a fierce advocate for animal protection and tougher laws against animal cruelty. We can't help but feel deeply sorry for Erin. Some people online have been quick to judge, accusing her of knowing more than she's admitted. But the truth is, she had no reason to suspect her husband of such evil. They shared a passion for animal conservation, and in her mind, Britton loved animals as much as she did. While the dogs were the primary victims of Britton's crimes, Erin is a victim too. She was manipulated and betrayed by the man she married. To discover your husband not only tortured animals, but was sexually attracted to them, is a trauma few could comprehend. It's a blow to her self-esteem, especially knowing they hadn't been intimate for years. Erin is likely questioning everything about their relationship, her judgment, and the life they built together. Thankfully, they didn't have children. At least some part of this nightmare ended before it could get worse. The terrifying part about Adam Britton is that he wasn't acting alone. He was part of an online community of zoosadists, people who share their horrific acts of animal abuse for attention and pleasure. Britton regularly exchanged videos with others in this dark network. One of his contacts, Lucas Russell Van Wert, also known as Graves, was from Ohio. In 2022, authorities raided his home and seized devices containing nearly 1,000 photos and videos of animal abuse. He admitted to sexually assaulting and torturing dogs, inside the sleeper cabin of a truck, and even possessed crush videos, a disturbing genre involving the torture of small animals for sexual gratification. Investigators also found child abuse material on his devices. In May 2023, Van Wert was sentenced to 97 months in prison, with 15 years of supervised release for possession and transportation of child sexual abuse material, obscene content, and animal crush videos. Another key figure in Britton's circle was Jaden Corse, known online as Gorvigid, a 24-year-old from Kentucky. Corse helped Britton set up his Telegram accounts and edited his videos. Britton even held up signs in his abuse videos, thanking Corse for his support. By the time Britton was arrested, Corse had already died from a fentanyl overdose in 2021. Still, Britton encouraged their online group to keep creating animal cruelty videos and dedicate them to Corse, saying they should give him something to watch in the afterlife. What's terrifying is that Britton will be released, possibly as early as 2028. His brief imprisonment will only feed his belief that he can outsmart everyone. Sadly, he knows how to break the rules and avoid detection. If he goes into hiding after his release, it will be harder for anyone to track him. Given his connections to other like-minded criminals, that's a terrifying prospect. Britton might never work in a professional capacity again. No one will touch him, but he's still a master manipulator. He could easily continue to target animals, using his arrogance and charm to gain access to them. People are angry, and for good reasons. Many have called for him to be thrown to the crocodiles, while others say feed him to the dogs. Poetic justice for what he did. So what do you think? How did someone like Adam Britton manage to hide his true nature for so long? Was the legal system's sentence enough to protect society from him in the future? Should there be harsher laws for crimes like this? And most importantly, how can we prevent predators like him from reoffending once they are released? Please share your thoughts in the comments. If there's a case you're interested in, let us know. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Hug your dogs, hold your pets close, take care of yourself and the ones you love. Stay safe, and we'll see you next time.